everybody. We are back for another episode of the Hero Panel Podcast.
I'm Caleb, the comic book Viking.
And I'm Eli Smith.
And we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about today.
Yes, we do, because it is spooky season.
Spooky season. Spooky, scary skeletons.
Oh, I love that song.
It's a great one. There's a lot of, trap remixes to that song that are pretty sick, actually.
Yes. I feel like we both are big fans, and our families are big fans of the Halloween playlist.
Oh, yes. The Halloween playlist, the Halloween season, the dark, the macabre.
I love the song Love Potion Number 9.
It's a great one.
That one's always done it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
There's the I Saw the Witch Doctor, he was a friend of mine, boom, 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 boom. That's a good one.
I also like the Monster Mash.
The Monster Mash, which
classic
is not about the song. I mean, it's a song about the song, but you never hear the song, the Monster Mash.
Oh, I thought you were about to say something like it's a metaphor for the types of people.
It's a metaphor
parties.
for capitalism. God damn it.
I thought it was a metaphor.
Everything's a metaphor for capitalism.
There's always a Dracula at every party. You know, the guy who's kind of keeping to himself.
Yeah.
There's always a wolf man.
There's always a wolf man howling at the moon.
There's always a ghost archetype type,
right.
friend of yours.
Everybody in a friend group follows into one of the 5 major monster categories, and I think we can agree with that.
I can actually. Yeah. I can.
What do you identify as? Because I'm a wolf man. I think that's just
fair enough. I think I've always been drawn to Dracula. So
no wonder we hate each other so much.
I know, but that's not fair though. What's up with that, right?
The vampire werewolf age-old, millennia-old conflict.
I know the Underworld movies that was highlighted in those films.
Yeah, Rise of the Lycans, man.
Come on, dude, Rise of the Lycans. Those are good movies.
Hey, they're fun. That was the definitive turning point in my life where I went,
Kate Beckinsale.
Kate Beckinsale.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah.
Leather-clad Kate Beckinsale.
I remember
being a badass vampire.
It's like you watch those movies, you think man, what a cool, rainy, always stormy world that they live in. And then
it's so
you're
dark.
like, that'd be cool to hang out in there for maybe a day. And then I'd be like, okay.
All right.
This is actually pretty depressing. A lot of people are disappearing.
Yeah. No, the world itself is pretty bleak.
Yeah. Don't go down into the subways.
Everybody looks so cool.
Yeah. I was thinking what would be funny is
don't go into the subways. Yeah, public transport is a nightmare in the underworld.
Don't do that.
In the underworld.
If you're in a vampire movie, don't go into the subway.
Yeah, don't do it.
And hopefully you realize that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it is spooky season. Halloween time coming up, and we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about in terms of horror books and horror media that we enjoy.
I'm a big horror fan.
Yeah.
I love horror.
I'm going to be honest. Only recently have I gotten more into horror than I ever have been.
That's cool.
Which I think is fun.
Yeah. There's a lot of it.
I was definitely on the upbringing of don't watch anything scary. Don't don't enjoy those things. Those aren't good. And weirdly enough, I was still a terrified little child.
Same.
So when I got older, it was like, I'm going to watch these things to face the fear. And then I enjoyed it.
Exactly. I never really imagined being a horror filmmaker, but that was kind of what I gravitated towards because I just had the most fun making
those
films.
things. Yep.
I have more of a a creative spark when I'm imagining those sorts of settings, and I love that type of material and all that good stuff, and rewatching the classics.
And there's a lot of books, and we're going to talk about some of our favorite comic books and graphic novel series that lean more towards that horror vibe or the psychological horror vibe today. So,
and there's a lot out there.
Yeah, a lot.
We'll mention a few, but I mean, man.
Yeah, you go to any comic book store right now, and I honestly have the opinion that horror works so well with comics because a lot of the things that scare us are the unknown, or we imagine things far worse than they are. That's why when the monster finally appears on screen, sometimes it's not as scary as not seeing it or as the mystery of what it is. So I think horror works really, really well in a comic book format because your brain fills in the places between the panels.
Yes.
And you can imagine what's going on from panel 1 to panel 2 at far worse than maybe any artist could draw it.
Absolutely. And something else I like about horror comics is they fill the gaps in certain franchises like Dracula, Wolfman, the Universal monsters. They've been putting out their miniseries, and it's just really cool kind of getting a sequel.
Yes.
Getting sort of a spiritual sequel, and even for Alien, Predator, what have you.
All of the Alien Predator
Bram
comics
Stoker's
right now.
Dracula. But anyways.
Cowboys and Dracula, man.
Yeah.
People forget there's a cowboy in the book Dracula.
I mean, I have American Vampire right here. I was actually going to talk about this book. It features a cowboy vampire that absolutely demolishes people.
Yeah.
Skinner Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
That's his name, and it's written by Scott Snyder, and I love this book.
And Stephen King does a little bit in that one as well, I believe, yeah.
Yes, he works on the first issue, and then he disappears from the rest.
But that's...
Yeah. But he did have his touch on there, and I love this book. I first read it at my school's library.
Really?
I picked it up, and they had all the volumes there. I remember coming across it, and I was like, whoa, dude, they have like volumes 1 through like 8. And I was like, wow, I can't believe they're all here.
That is a rarity to see the entire like series at a library.
Yeah.
God.
And I remember reading this, and it was shocking.
Oh, God. I think exploring horror comics is one of the cool things that I've gotten to do in the last, 5-6 years. Has just been like, oh, what a whole new world. I was always a superhero guy. Yeah. I was a superhero, comics guy. That was where I was like, oh, this is my lane. I know it. I'm sticking with it.
Yeah.
And even then they get you because there are characters within the superhero genre that do lean more towards horror. You have
Swamp Thing, Werewolf by Night,
Blade, all, Damien Hellstrom, all of these characters that like even Moon Knight to an extent leans more towards that horror aspect of things. And it's a gateway drug.
Definitely,
it's a gateway because now I'm reading,
and I love
Dark Ride and
Dark Ride is so good.
I love Dark Ride.
I love every holiday season when DC and Marvel puts out their special horror, like DC horror,
their horror stuff.
Or they usually give it a different title every year, but it's fun. It's a fun like anthology of all of the characters we know
in weird situations.
Horror-esque kind of like landscapes or situations. Yeah, all that good stuff. So that's always kind of fun. I've enjoyed that every season, and I look forward to those books coming out.
Yeah, but you talked about American Vampire. That's by Scott Snyder. Yes. And I think we were going to talk a little...
Batman.
Yeah, the Batman. We're talking about Scott Snyder a little bit today as well. Just as a writer, we want to spotlight and kind of highlight some of our favorite writers or comic book creators and artists on this podcast. So
absolutely.
I think...
I wanted to talk about Scott Snyder.
Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't heard of him, he is prolific in the comic book industry. He's a titan, and he is spearheading most Batman. Right now, Absolute Batman. Which is incredible, but he is basically...
architect of the original New 52 Batman, which is probably
the best part of that entire run, really, when
you think about it. And honestly, a Batman that got a lot of our generation into Batman.
Yeah,
because
introducing the Court of Owls.
Yes,
that's been huge to the Batman
Death
mythology.
Death of the Family.
He did a lot with the joke, and then even the massive DC event series, Metal
DC. Yeah, Dark Knight's Metal and Death Metal.
Yeah, those
Scott
were
Snyder.
huge. If you haven't read those, read them. I mean, they're
dense
books.
They're dense books, but they're really fun.
There's a lot going on.
You're gonna have to do your research a little bit about the DC universe.
Yeah, there's a lot about the Nth Metal.
Yeah,
remember that?
I remember that was one of our first trivia questions.
I was just going to say, it goes all the way back to episode 1. Yeah, Nth Metal.
Good times.
But Scott Snyder, he's also dabbled in horror, and I think that's where he shines. Even in that New 52 run, there were a lot of horror elements and psychological,
not to mention what he's doing with the Absolute Batman series right now. There are horror elements out the wazoo.
Yeah, every villain so far in this series, in Absolute Batman, has been a monstrosity. Just a terrifying version of the villain that we know. Killer Croc right now. Mr. Freeze. Oh, man. And Poison Ivy, Clayface.
Bane.
Yeah, they're monsters. They're creatures.
Yeah, they went full supernatural creature thing experiment. Like, it's pretty great.
Yeah,
I've been enjoying it.
Witches.
Yes,
I loved his story. Witches. It was so just creepy. Classic. Don't go into the woods. There's something that's gonna Witches snatch the kids away.
I believe Witches was my first horror comic that I ever read.
Wow.
I think it was. I'm thinking back to college. I'm thinking back to when I was getting into going to comic book stores with my buddies, and shout out Christian Crouch. He bought it and read it, said it was so good, and then let me borrow it. And or was it Christian Crouch? Might not have been Christian Crouch. One of my college friends. One of you guys. I love you guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, guys. But I remember we read that in college, and it just the whole group of us were like, "What is this? Whoa. This is incredible."
But I love that series. There were plans for it to be continued, and that just never really picked
panned
up.
out.
Yeah, there was the initial run of Witches, which is now a trade paperback, and then he did a one shot, and it didn't pick up again. But it's not to say that it won't return.
And I mean, Scott, he's got a lot going on. His name's back in the forefront of people's minds again, and yep.
But anyways, I love Scott Snyder. Check out his new 52 run on Batman.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say for my writer spotlight of this week, I'm going to talk a little bit about James Tynion IV.
Yeah.
James Tynion IV is probably my favorite horror, scary, supernatural thriller writer.
James Tiny Onion.
Tiny Onion, yes, the Tiny Onion, Tynion.
Yeah.
Yes, but
is that like the official name of his like publication?
Tiny Onion, yeah. He's got a whole website. His whole publication is Tiny Onion.
He's great.
He's so good.
Everything he writes is just like you have to pick that book.
You have to. I mean, everything from Blue Book to Deviant to he's been working on World Tree for forever. Which these books they're heavy, they're dark. I do go in and out of reading them, but I always pick up the trades. Whenever they come out, so I grab World Tree. Yeah, it's a dark underworld internet story where there's a place underneath the internet that is literally a supernatural realm that's letting things into this world. His lore and world building and like the ideas he comes up with are just phenomenal.
Some of the kills are pretty grotesque as well.
Oh, I mean,
there were some panels I looked at where I was like, so creepy.
Yeah. But the book that I want to talk about, just highlighting his impact on my reading life, is Nice House on the Lake.
Yeah.
This is volume 2 because I've lent out volume 1 to so many people. And it's with somebody right now because I share this book. I proselytize for this book.
I hear it's being made into a TV series.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I think that would be amazing. I'm curious to see how they would do certain things, but that book blew me away. Mm-hmm. Any story that starts off with how do you think the world is going to end?
Right.
And then diving into this idea of eternity and forever and a safe haven amongst just absolute carnage and chaos and why you were chosen and the mystery of it. All of it is so well written and so good.
The setup is perfect as well.
The setup, the setting, everything. There's so much mystery.
There's something about
so much symbolism.
There's something about a group of friends when they meet up and disaster strikes that it's just like I love those stories.
Because honestly, I'm a huge I like the simple horror slasher storyline. I think it's fun. I think being on the run from the crazed axe wielding dude is a great story. But if I'm going to sit down and really invest in a story, the depth, the lore, the mystery of it, all of those things, there's something to be said about just a good horror story.
Yeah.
Give me a nice, have the story make sense and have it be fun.
Mm-hmm. And there's so many different things you can do, and you can swap out different elements of those stories as well, and they all just work so perfectly hand together.
Absolutely.
Nice House by the Sea is the sequel.
There is a sequel, yeah.
I haven't started reading that one.
It's very good.
Okay.
Yeah, you do have to read the first 2 again just to remember kind of what's going on.
Sure.
But I highly recommend it.
Sometimes even with just current ongoing series, like let's just take Absolute Superman, for example. I picked up issue number 11, and I very recently went through all of it, but I was like, I think I need to go back and look at 10 one more time and just like make sure, because when you're reading comics all the time, sometimes it's like
it all sort of jumbles together. I'm doing the same with the X-Men series right now with Jed McKay and Uncanny and all those. I have the trades.
Yeah.
So as I've read them as they've come out, but I also am like, well, what story was that again? And I want to go back and read it. And I'm honestly...
You look like a researcher with all these maps on your desk.
You're like timelines and what's going on. It's the Charlie Day chalkboard.
Yeah.
Like, Pepe Sylvia! Where is Pepe? Carol! Anyway.
It's true. But yeah, that's James Tynion's awesome.
Yeah. So that's I love James, and I think...
I like Something's Killing the Children.
Something's Killing the Children.
I should have brought it, but I got the big hardback of that one.
It's okay.
Okay, there we go.
I got it right here. Something's Killing the Children. This is going to be a Netflix series, I believe. It's already like...
Well, so much of his work lends himself to it.
It lends itself to it. He's got, so many short stories.
He's so good at his cliffhangers and on
Closet.
the end of an issue.
Did you ever read Closet?
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's a 3-issue miniseries, right?
Just a small little story, but it is
super creepy,
poignantly powerful.
Yeah, he's really good at just world building, drawing you in immediately with a solid hook. And then leaving you on a big cliffhanger. Yeah. You're like, well, got to read the next issue.
Got to read the next issue. Yep. Yeah. Horror does that well.
Yes.
Scary mystery stories do that well.
It does.
What's next?
What else do we got here? I guess I have a couple of announcements.
Yes, let's talk about some announcements.
Yeah, just some short stuff here. So Marvel Rivals, we love this game. It's a huge hit. There's a new season coming out, and they have introduced 2 new characters, Angela and Daredevil, which I know you're excited about. Angela,
I am very excited about Angela. Yeah. I have loved her as a character.
And Daredevil, I know you're excited about both.
Obviously, Daredevil, but like Angela is a character that I don't think as many people know and aren't as familiar with.
Because Angela was more or less created. I won't say
Spawn.
Recently, but.
I believe Angela was originally in the like Spawn universe, or
as like a
character, and then was bought the rights or something happened, and she switched over to Marvel and became Thor's missing sister during the original Sin event. It was the mystery was revealed that Odin had a daughter before Thor. Who was part angel.
Yeah.
And so she was, there's the 10th, the 9 realms. Well, there's the 10th realm, which is heaven. And she is a warrior of this angelic being. Oh, it's so cool. Her,
I like the run where she was working with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. I think that's how I got introduced to her. And I remember reading, kind of being like, who is this? Where did she come from?
Yeah.
Which is one of the best things about reading comics.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what opens the door to
researching and going back and you're like, what is this character?
So she's the first character that comes out this season, and her gameplay is a mix of her being able to fly and use her spear.
She's a vanguard flyer. She is the DPS takedown of the sky.
When she flies, she has her spear, and when she's on the ground, it's her axes.
And a shield. She has a big shield in the air.
She's basically like a flying Reinhardt from Overwatch.
Yep. That's exactly how
she's jacked.
She's jacked. Muscle mommy.
It has me excited for Daredevil, who will come midway through this season. And
his design looks sick. Daredevil's kit looks really fun. I think they changed a little bit of like his origin in this game.
Yeah, well, I mean, so far Marvel Rivals is doing its own thing. It's its own contained universe and storyline, and it seems like there's some mystical elements maybe powering him. I mean, at one point during the trailer, he like yells like, "Let out the devil!" and he like goes like Devil Super Saiyan. Yes. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if that'll like directly impact his moves and his abilities that they give him, but we'll see. I mean, all the skins have been really, really cool out of that game, so for sure he's going to be getting some really cool classic Daredevil skins.
You know who I want to see in Marvel Rivals? And I was talking about this with somebody the other day that lend themselves to a Marvel Rivals character, but we haven't seen him.
Yeah.
Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Where's Luke Cage, man?
He's coming.
I hope so.
He'll be there eventually. I know everyone's wondering where Doctor Doom is. And,
I don't know.
Deadpool's
thinking about Doctor Doom. I don't know anybody that cares about
we need Doom. We need Deadpool. Deadpool seems like he's going to be just right around the corner. Maybe even in the next season. But Marvel Rivals,
Marvel Rivals. Marvel Zombies trailer dropped the other day, too.
Oh, yes.
Speaking of spooky season.
Yeah. What was great about that trailer drop is the reveal that the show premieres on September 20th.
Yeah, like coming out soon.
Yeah, somewhere
like really soon. And the action, the gore, the violence of the show.
TV mature. It's good.
TV mature, but it's like as an animated series, going to be awesome.
That shot of Spider-Man just swinging over the whole crowd of enemies, and he just rips all the zombies' heads off with one yank. You're like, oh, this is going to be good.
This is going to be wild.
Marvel Zombies is so cool. I remember reading that story for the first time.
I hated Marvel Zombies when I read it.
You hated it?
Oh, I hated it.
Like in the way where it just grossed you out?
No, I didn't like it. I didn't like the story because I was young and I was reading all these superhero comics, and
you're like, this isn't right.
Yeah, it felt fundamentally wrong.
Yeah.
There was something that like churned my gut, and like
in my opinion, I'm like, I think that it worked then.
For sure. Right. It did.
It's meant
and
to
like
make you
going
feel
back
that
and
way.
reading it later, of course, you're like, oh, it's an alternate universe. And then like they did a crossover with the Ultimate Fantastic Four back in the day, and the Marvel Zombies were there.
They did like 4 sequels to it.
Yeah, there's so many.
And now they just keep showing up in different ways.
I love it now, but back in the day, I was like, this is garbage. I hate this. I can't believe they would do this to my characters.
Spider-Man just ate Mary Jane.
Mary Jane. That is stomach churning to a 15-year-old Spider-Man lover.
And it's written by Robert Kirkman.
Yep, Robert Kirkman.
The Zombie Man.
He sure is.
Yeah.
I was talking about, what was it? Outcast. Is another Robert Kirkman horror story. Where it's like a demon possession. That one was a really good story too.
Demon possession. Yeah. And then there is going to be a reveal That is imminent. It is upon us for the new Wolverine video game by Insomniac Games.
Wolverine's getting a new game.
After, I guess, the next PlayStation State of Play that takes place later this month in September, it's rumored that we're going to finally get some sort of a reveal trailer. And it's going to get people hyped. It's going to get people super
Until
hyped.
then, I'm just going back and playing X-Men Origins Wolverine Uncaged.
Oh, man, that was such a good game.
That was such a good game.
I mean, if they don't take the healing factor from that game,
and the leaping ability, like the leap strike down ability was so fun.
Insomniac Games knows what they're doing. The Spider-Man games are just obviously like a work of art.
They're the best superhero games that I've ever played.
Easily. And, not to mention, I mean, the Arkham series is also incredible. But those games are all just, I want more of those. Yeah. Those are some of my favorite video games.
Oh, absolutely.
In the
meantime, Lego Batman.
Yeah.
Lego Batman is coming out, and it actually looks really good.
Legends of the Dark Knight.
The fact that Matt Berry is voicing Bane is my favorite thing.
Oh, man. And just there's the references and Easter eggs.
It's going to be so funny.
It's going to cover every corner of Batman media is going to be in this with the costumes.
And it's open world, and you can like drive the Batmobile around.
And they took the fighting style from the Arkham games.
Yeah, from the Arkham games and just stuck it in the Lego.
And I guess Gotham City is actually like 2 times bigger than Gotham was in Arkham Knight. Which means there's going to be secrets that you can explore,
hidden mysteries. It's a Lego game. I'm going to play it. Yeah. Lego games are the best. But yeah, so that's a couple announcements for video games and movies and shows that are coming out.
Yeah.
We also have a really special treat for you guys today. We are going to be interviewing a local comic book store owner and comic aficionado,
Joe Woods,
and
owner of the Comic Den in Inglewood.
We're really excited to get to go talk to him today. So
that's gonna be cool.
Yeah, we're gonna insert that interview.
Hell yeah, right now.
Hey guys, we are here at the Comic Den with Mr. Joe Woods. Joe, tell us a little bit about the Comic Den and like what you have done here and why you brought this level of like comic book awesomeness to this area.
Take us back in a trip through time.
Yeah.
To the beginning.
Dude, I can just tell you guys, I've been loving comics for going on 50 years now. I fell in love with my first comic. I grew up over in Watts. My mom took me to like this little corner market when she first bought this house over there. And there was a comic book rack in the little mini mart there, So
oh, wow.
She ended up buying me one. I think it was like a Defenders Annual.
Nice.
Back in those days. And I was just so fascinated by the colors and the characters, Valkyrie, I think Thor and the Hulk and all those people were in there. So it was just an instant love for me. So when I used to go to school in the morning, I would either go to that market and grab books, put them in my folder and go to class, or there was another liquor store where I would walk half a mile to, Now, what I didn't know better of at that time, because I was going so frequently at that time, I didn't know when new books were releasing. I was like, okay, well, I'll just get this one. I'll get this one this week. And then sometimes you go in there, you'll find new books.
Yeah.
But it was that start right there to I fell in love with comics from that point on, And then when I got in junior high school, I got into trading comics with friends of mine. And then I found out about John Byrne and George Perez and, finding art like Dave Gibson and all those type of guys. Dave Cockrum, all those guys reading X-Men books. But if it wasn't for guys like John Byrne and George Perez, I followed their careers, So when Byrne left Marvel and went to DC and started doing Superman, I kind of started following that trend and I got more into DC. But I was reading DC because George Perez was doing Teen Titans.
Sure.
So
that's a great run.
I was also,
classic.
into that. And I used to, me and my friend, we used to always do comparisons. So like, doesn't Taskmaster kind of look like Deathstroke?
Like Deathstroke,
with the orange and blue and stuff like that. Not knowing, like, as we got older, we would really put those together, you know, and just say, okay, that's his art style, that's his color scheme.
Sure.
And they're all like jumping back and forth between companies. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you would say in the beginning you were drawn more to DC characters in comics, or a little bit of both?
I was really drawn towards both, but I think it was the Marvel that really started me off because it was the X-Men.
Okay.
I was reading the John Byrne X-Men. And then I remember I would trade books. Like I got a trade for X-Men 109. I traded this dude my whole series of Contest of Champions, which was one of the first limited series that was out, had I known that back then. But he traded me an X-Men 109, and that was kind of like the first appearance of Vindicator, you know.
Oh,
and
all right.
That way, me and my buddy, we started really getting into Alpha Flight at that time, you know. And then when Byrne started Alpha Flight #1, we were just right on board with that kind of stuff. Like,
gotcha.
And so it was Marvel, you know, the love for Wolverine, following the Phoenix saga, the Proteus saga, the Days of Future Past, and then when he left, we still followed with the Emma Frost and the introduction of Kitty Pryde coming into the X-Men, all the way to Storm becoming the Dracula, to the Brood. I mean, I can go on forever.
Yeah, of course.
We just really went into the whole X-Men. That was my whole thing. Was like collecting X-Men. But then when I saw the jump, I just followed Byrne over, and I started to get into more of the DC characters.
Okay.
And I was always interested in art because I would like to see this artist's version of that character. So when you saw, you know, I wonder what John Byrne's Batman would look like. I wonder what George Perez Batman would look like.
That was the question.
I wonder what, I knew what Neil Adams Batman looked like, you know, because it was a trendsetter. You know? And it was just all about the artist at that time. But then in the 90s, when McFarlane and Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld, these guys jumped in, you know, the art just really intensified.
Yes. Oh, it was an elevated.
And
I think it's like that art style comes to people's minds sometimes when they think about comic books, even today.
Yeah, even today.
Yeah. I mean, when you really think about it, I mean, those guys, especially Jim Lee, I think I was reading something. He broke a Guinness Book of World Records for that X-Men #1. It sold like probably 5 million copies or something like that.
We still see back issues of that come into the shop
all the time.
Yeah, so, you know, with those guys setting those kind of trends and starting Image Comics, you know, that elevated art on a whole nother level, you know. And so, of course, I jumped ship because I was a big McFarlane fan. I was a big Jim Lee fan. I mean, you saw, like, if you're in this game from day one, you can see the elevations and the evolution of comics when they change, you know. Someone told me that they were also maybe considering making a movie off of the Image guys when they started.
Oh, yeah.
Image guys. That would be such an awesome
I'd love
movie.
to see
Absolutely.
that.
Like a documentary or like a narrative film.
I hope it would be a movie. Pick some actors out. And
that would be so cool.
Right?
Wow.
That would just be awesome.
Yeah, the comic book industry needs a movie, a biopic about the creators.
Yeah, that would
seriously.
be. I mean, even if they go do a Jack Lee,
I was going to say
Jack Kirby or
Stan Lee. I was going to say the fact that there really hasn't been a Stan Lee movie or like a Jack Kirby film about their lives and what those guys went through back in those early days. Man,
I feel like it's safe to say that we will get that movie. I feel like that is just something that's sitting out there.
The right
ready.
people's going to be watching this podcast.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Get on it.
Pick up the rights to get that movie. Stan Lee, Jack Kirby. Let's start it off from the genesis of.
Let's go.
Those are some difficult rights to get off. We all know the history with the rights between comic book characters
and movies,
and credit being given on who's created certain characters.
That's true.
It's a rabbit hole.
But that's just a fascinating story too.
Yeah,
like
totally,
that's some drama right there.
You know, that in the Image, but really from there on, you know, we all know what the '90s did to the comic industry.
Sure.
You know, I mean,
it was
so really at that time the art. I mean, with the Extreme Studios that Rob Liefeld was running, Top Cow, Mark Silvestri, you had all these extreme artists out there.
Well, they saved the industry in a lot of ways too.
Yes, but then I did notice like the sink of Marvel. If you saw what DC done, they killed Superman, they broke Batman's back. They were just doing all type of stuff at that time. You know, but right around the middle point of the '90s. The writing just wasn't there.
It fell off,
dude. You know what I'm saying?
It did.
You know, and it wasn't really until I can say I almost sunk. I was like, damn, man, I can't find anything really good to read. Right now, you know. But then when you start getting the evolution of Kirkman and Bendis with the ultimate
line,
dude,
we've talked about that, man.
That right there,
it saved
put me back in all in.
Yes,
the early 2000s.
Those early 2000s.
That's because they were having conversations about it and they knew something had to be done. I mean, sales were plummeting and
they'd sold off most of the rights to their films, all of it all over the place. So you now, after years and years of reading comics and appreciating comics, you have your own shop. How does that feel? Like, what is What's that like?
When did you open the shop?
I opened up this shop in mid-February of this year.
Mm-hmm. Whoa!
So it's only been going on 6-7 months going on right now. So I manage stores for a living. I ran CVS. I worked for CVS for 14 years. And I worked at Michael's Arts and Craft for the last 5.5 years before I opened up the store. But it was really the love of my son. I love my kid, and I'm trying to inspire my kid to go after what he loves to do. And what better example could I be to go out and go after what I love to do? Even with all this gray on my face, I told him, I was like, dude, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to challenge myself.
I love that, yeah.
I'm a tree hugger. I was hugging on to that 401k. I was hugging on
to of course.
I was hugging on to, my lifeline.
A little safety net.
But sometimes you got to take a risk and step out there. And I would advise anybody that's into entrepreneurship, take that risk, because I don't want to go back. Don't wake me up if you think I'm dreaming. Any of that stuff like that. I am so glad I made this move, because I truly love what I do for a living. Even though I don't make the money I used to make, the joy, the passion, the happiness is there. Oh, sometimes I can't wait to get in here and talk to people.
Oh, man.
You never know who's going to walk through those doors.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why we started this podcast, and we are, we're trying to have creators, artists, shop owners on, because we want to spread that passion around.
And we want to make sure there's so much negativity, especially in the art community.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with artists, everybody's got a negative take on a movie or a book or whatever. And, those videos get views, but you know what makes life better? Passion and joy about the art that we spread, and we want to enjoy.
Because I'm sure we talked about earlier. It's there can be definitely some negativity in this fandom that's a little bit unsolicited sometimes, and it's
the one thing I can honestly say, I try not to badger anybody's work too much.
Right.
I mean, if it's not for me, I'll just say it's not.
It could be for someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But someone put their hard work, their mind,
exactly,
and their effort into being creative, and that's something that a lot of critics don't do. You know what I'm saying? They're so fast to put you down and knock what you down doing.
I feel the same way about film.
That person was direct and taking something in their mind, and having the drive and the ambition to go after and setting that vision and trying to make it tangible. I mean, DC has really stepped their game up.
They really have.
Man. I got to give kudos, DC.
Yeah,
kudos, DC.
I think it's because creators are listening, and the opinions of the readers does matter.
It does.
And even though they can sometimes steer in a more negative light, there's also the positive. And what's great is I think that the publishers are doing their best to listen.
Yeah.
And at least with independent comic book publishers like Image, it's like they're giving these writers also a chance.
So much freedom to be creative.
That's what I was telling somebody the other day. I was like, without Marvel and DC thriving, these independent guys don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, we need the big two to do well.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I believe that when King Spawn comes out by McFarlane, it's only going to do so well because Marvel and DC movies right now.
Yeah.
Man, I give kudos to James Gunn for finally giving us a Superman movie that watches like a comic book.
Exactly.
You know
the hope.
I went to go watch that movie again because I was marveled by how comic book like
right.
And it's just truly like watching an adventure. I'm not knocking Henry Cavill or Zack Snyder.
It's a different take.
That right there was like one of my favorite comic book movies I went to go see.
And I think that is evident of what happens when someone who cares about the property and cares about the comic books, cares about the characters and the storytelling.
You stuff to go read.
Exactly.
I have people calling me like, "Oh, do you have Strange Adventures?"
And he did that like last year. He was putting out books to get you ready for the Superman.
And James Gunn also knows that he has a responsibility and that he's looked at as a pop culture icon now. And so when he says something like that, he knows that this is going to help the industry. People are going to go pick up these books. And that's huge. And that's part of the reason why we wanted to have you on the show as well, because when people watch and they listen to this, I mean, really, though, it inspires them to follow those passions, to start reading and supporting bookshops.
Well, at the end of the day, I started all this first with a nonprofit called Soul Geek Empowerment.
Okay.
Soul Geek Empowerment the theme is you don't got to be a young geek or an old geek to be a soul geek. So every nationality, every race, every color, every background, every creed can be a soul geek.
Cool.
But the goal of that was to set a trend of that new generation of readers, writers, artists, and collectors. So what I did was I would go to any school. I mean, I've been in schools from Compton to Watts to L.A. to Linwood, and I give free comic books away, to the kids. Because at the end of the day, what are we doing? We're giving them reading material, helps build their vocabulary, helps get their creative juices going.
Yes.
And then we encourage those kids, to open up that godlike ability to be a creator and create and breathe life into their own characters, And when we did that, I had one school invite me to another school, and then I was in everybody's school.
Yep.
And now that just helped me. I remember I was doing an event one day, and I had all these people standing in line, and they had money in their hand, And it's like, oh, we want to buy you. But I said, no, if you ever see me out in public, I'm not asking you guys for anything. You might can buy a Comic Den T-shirt or something like that. But I say I give the stuff away because I give to receive, and so the next question was like, well, where's your store at? I mean, and so many people start asking me, where's your store at? Where's your store at? I say, well, I think it's time for me to step out and try to open up my own store.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And I was going to open up a store like over in near Venice Beach off of Lincoln in Venice over that way.
Right.
But the guy kept playing with the prices and stuff. It was a nice location because it had lots of traffic, car traffic and stuff like that.
By the beach.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And that tanks. So I have a nonprofit friend of mine who runs this cause business over here. And she told me, well, why don't you talk to my landlord, And I talked to the landlord, and he said, hey, I have this opening in the corner right here. And as soon as I saw the place, it had carpet and stuff on the ground. But I said, okay, my new books are going to go over here.
And you could see it, the vision.
And I just start merchandising the place,
Right.
And I said, now it's all about just bringing what I see in my head and putting that to life. And after a few months of just setting things in place and setting up accounts and stuff like that, I opened this baby up. And
really, we've seen it on social media. Follow Joe, follow the Comic Den on social media because you've made a really big splash in this community already. And you said 7 months.
Yeah,
people have flocked and really.
I'm just a regular guy, folks. I love comics. I mean, I geek out. I mean, I read. I'm just like any other collector, except for I'm just out there just trying to push it. Before I check out, I'm going to take this comic book thing as far as I can do to every community, to every platform, to everything that I can possibly do.
So what do you see as far as the future goes for the Comic Den? You have any big plans coming up for?
Well, we're always conjuring up stuff. I think social media has just been a huge blessing for the store and the platform. I eventually want to get more guest artists and guest writers in here, kind of sit them here and ask them a few questions.
Sure. That's what we're trying to do.
Exactly.
I want to get my own exclusive blank covers, get a little Comic Den.
That is always fun.
And get those guys to kind of come in and draw an exclusive cover. I have a couple of covers where I met David Crowns in, and he gave me some blank covers. So I've already had 2 artists to do their own covers of Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer.
Yes.
But I kind of want to expand out on that to just get, if I ever have a guest artist, hey, sit down and, exploit your talent and let's see what you're able to do.
Sure.
And just have an auction for those covers or just, hey, these are one of a kind. These can't be duplicated,
Yeah.
And I think that just adds a form of originality to your store. And I think that adds a new following because people will see you doing new things, I also like to find what's up and happening, new writers, new artists, people who are out here to work. I'm all about community and I'm all about the local guys. So if you had a new comic book that you were trying to get out there, I would sit you down here and you can tell us all about your book.
Oh, perfect.
Here
we go. Here's the pitch.
Because there's so much talent out there right now,
of course.
And something that's got to go beyond what we see now. Something's got to keep this.
Well, there's always a new pioneer, somebody that's pushing the boundaries of what this art form can do.
And I think it's good getting that message out there because there are a lot of people who are so talented and they're afraid to show their work or they don't think that they have the right opportunity to do so. And when there's a place space, like this, you can
comforting and comfortable space to express that. That's you can't put a price on that.
It's funny you said that. Because I had Johnny Parker. He's a artist for IDW. He's drawn Godzilla and stuff like that. But he's also a school teacher. So he had his class to draw this book called Motherboard. So we invited them to the store to do a signing here. So because it was 20 pages and 20 kids did a panel.
That's
extremely talented.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And stuff like that. So I meet this one kid and he's like, "Oh, well, I did page 17. I know it's not that much." I said, "Well, you stop right there." I said, "Don't you ever ever insult your hard work like that. I was like, because whether if you draw a character that looks like Dilbert or you draw a character that looks like
Jim Lee's Batman.
You know what I'm saying? There's a community for every level of artist. You know what I'm saying? So what you may be doing, you may just fit that right type of person that's looking for that artist. I mean, there's so much art out there. So I mean, there's art for kids. I mean, even adults read certain, you know what I'm saying? That's like watching an episode of The Simpsons and watching an episode of Family Guy or something like that. There's two different art styles. Then going to watch manga. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It evolves, but it's a community for it all, though.
Yep.
You know? Yes. And I was trying to explain that to him. I was like, you just got to find your community that this art style works for. I wanted to open up a store like almost 10 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And I went out there to get a loan. They didn't give me no loan and all this other kind of stuff like that. And I just said it just wasn't the right time. But this time, I knew it was the right season for it, you know, because I opened it up. I met Cheyenne the Geek. We started a TV.
I was going to say, we got the TV show going on here.
I met Joel Adams, Neil Adams' son. He donated like the shelves that are in the store. I mean,
no kidding.
Things just started to fall in place that I knew it was just time for it to make it happen. For writers, I would just say there's no such thing as a stupid idea. Just keep writing until everything starts to make sense. You know what I'm saying? What you may think is done might not be done for somebody else who's reading it. You know what I'm saying?
Love that.
Just keep writing. And as you build that universe and you build those characters and you build that picture, you may take some things out, you may add some things in, but you're putting a puzzle together to your universe. And what you want to be able to do one day is speak your universe like it's so real and you're talking it's so real to where you would think your characters might walk through the door. For entrepreneurship, the only thing I can say is, this is my number one saying, don't be a tree hugger if you plan on being an entrepreneur. The fruit grows out on the limbs, so you got to let go of that tree. You got to let go of the 401k, the job, the benefit and stuff like that. And it's going to be shaky, you know, and you're going to go out there and grab that piece of fruit. But when you get that piece of fruit, plant your own seed, build your own foundation.
There you go.
And it'll be the best thing you've ever done, because I promise you guys right now, I'm so glad I done that, and I wouldn't turn back for nothing in the world.
Wow. All right. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
No problem.
That was awesome. We love the den.
Love the den.